Welcome to Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And oh my gosh, people, I am so blessed to have the lovely ladies from Sinister Sisters Paranormal join me again. We had such a great time last time, right, Rachel? We had a blast. And we're going to have more fun this time. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. We're going to have it.
John's like, damn it.
Maybe we will, and I'm sure we will. And I welcome Sam and Kate. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, you lovely ladies have done so many cool things. I was telling Rachel, I got to get back on the podcast. It was one of my favorite podcasts, and I got a lot of feedback from it that they enjoyed watching and listening. So awesome. So let's get right into it, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
What have you ladies been up to? You want to just, who would like to start with? You want to start with an investigation, or how would you guys like to start that?
Yeah, I mean, well, we can go anyway.
Yeah, let's start with an investigation, shall we? And tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done so much this past year. And with the addition of Sam and Kate to the team, too, has made the four of us that we just kind of clicked and fit together really well. So we've done quite a bit up in Kate's area of Gallatin, Tennessee. So we've investigated Rosemont, which is where Kate normally resides for the most part. So we've done Rosemont, Trousdale. We've also done a little bit of Comer House, the little antique store across the street we investigated. So yeah, we've done quite a bit up there. And then I've done a little bit further out, like we did Brushy and Waverly Hills. And we've also done, like with Sam, we did the Gaines house. That was a lot of fun too. That was probably the most like, I don't know, shocking maybe.
Okay. So what I always tell my, I love that. Well, not for you guys. I'm sorry. That was me. I love that you guys were tortured and things were being mean to you.
We're used to it.
You're used to it. Come on, suck it up. So what I always tell my paranormal investigators who I haven't had on the show for a little while, you guys have done so much. How about this? How about let's do the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when I say ugly, I mean maybe, some really, really, and I always like to start with the ugly, some really just crazy experiences that were maybe not what you thought they were. And then the bad, you can make it funny. Like maybe you went somewhere and it didn't really work out. And the good is just like, oh my God, John, this was like we walked in and I was talking to ghosts. So let's start with the ugly. So let's start with the scary stuff since it's Spooktober and when this will air. Where did you want to start? The house, or what experience do you want to start with?
Yeah, I mean, we can share the Gaines. The Gaines house was probably a very uncomfortable situation. Well, I think like to start, the house is under some major kind of renovations.
There we go.
It is, or it was, a Civil War hospital was it Gainsborough?
Gainsborough, Tennessee.
Yeah, in Gainsborough, Tennessee. So it was one of the last standing sort of a Civil War hospital. So there's like a whole group that's trying to fund renovations. So they allow paranormal investigators in there in the meantime to investigate the property. And there is literally there's sketch because the floor wasn't really like necessarily there in spots. What else was there was no electricity, there was a little bit of running water, but the bathroom, I think, freaked us out. It was like stinky water.
Stairs were super steep, and we all had to climb up with the rails. It was just, if you needed to run down or up the stairs, it was just roll. Just roll.
Yeah, but I think that The freaky part for us, I think, came when we decided to kind of do an Estes Method session. And it was the first time we were allowing Jen's husband, Tommy, to do Estes. He feels a deep connection to like the Civil War era. So he was, pumped. He was like ready to go. He like, oh, I want to do this, and I mean, you can kind of explain like the very first session, Sam, and tell them what we kind of experienced.
So we did the first session downstairs, and we were all sitting in a circle. Tommy put the headphones on. He had an eye mask on to where he couldn't see anything. Obviously, the headphones are noise canceling. So Tommy is also pretty like partially deaf. So it also just helps support that he wasn't hearing anything or seeing anything around us. So, we were all just kind of asking questions, and all of a sudden Tommy just like sits up real straight, and his head just starts scanning the room. Like he just goes back and forth. And one of our psychics that were joining our team, our investigation that night, she stood up because she could kind of feel something taking over. And as soon as she stood up, he goes, "Sit." And we all just looked at each other like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah, poor Jen. She was like, okay, take him out, take him out, take him out.
Yeah.
Because he really I think his whole, it wasn't just like the scanning part, but like it seemed like his whole body, the whole body language, even the way he was speaking, changed. And we were like, oh my God, like, holy crap, what is happening right now? Alicia was able to pull him out of that,
When you say, sorry to interrupt you, Rachel, when you say pull him out, what do you mean by that? Like, you're doing the Estes method. You mean you just take off the headphones and just be like, okay, or what do you mean?
No, she was before even the headphones or the blindfold came off, she was definitely, saying, trying to get Tommy to step forward, so she was calling on Tommy to step forward. And, one of the ways that she does it, I think it was that she was asking him to say his full name.
Yeah.
And if he didn't say it, like if he just went, Tommy or Tommy Blackwell or whatever, it was kind of like, she was just like, whatever presence is inside Tommy must leave, and she has a background of, she's an energy healer. She's a Reiki master. So, she has the ability to do that. And, finally he started to come around, and it was just like, I think Jen was like literally ghost white. Like she was just she was freaked out.
Yeah.
And then they kind of she took him outside and was trying to just make sure he was good and solid from that point forward. But, then of course he wanted to do it again.
What?
This is when I got real bad.
Yeah. And then he wanted to do it again.
It's already bad, folks.
He wanted to do it again, and he wanted to do it again upstairs. And we had been given kind of a tour, like at the very beginning before we started, from one of the people on the board, I think, of the foundation that has the house, and they were telling us some of the reports of activity, other like paranormal teams, and one of the hot spots was upstairs. And so, he was just anxious to I want to do it again, and I want to do it upstairs. And we're just like, is that it? Like, well, what do you think? We were asking Alicia. Yeah. She was kind of like, well, we're here. We can pull him out if it goes sideways. And, Jen was like, please, she's like, if I see anything wrong, I'm going to say, pull him immediately. And he was agreeable to that. But then it got even weirder upstairs.
Okay,
do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, please.
I'll take it.
Oh, God.
Well, this time we had Tommy in the middle of us, and we all made a circle around him instead of all of us being in a circle. We put crystals around him. We also had the tripwire, which the tripwire is basically just like a big long line of lights that are EMF sensitive. So if I touch it, it's not going to change, but if a spirit touches it, it'll change the color. I mean, it didn't take, what, Rachel, like 5 seconds for him to go back into the, like, sitting up straight and just scanning all around the room again. Like, I think because he was already open, that spirit just went right back in. Yeah. So, so that happened again. Immediately, he starts scanning and he just starts like saying, where's my dinner? Get me my whiskey, just like making demands. And then he goes, go grab my pistol. And what we didn't know was Tommy was carrying that night. Just, he has his concealed, like it's all legal, but yeah, but we go to some, he carries, so that it makes us feel safe. But during this,
during this, and we didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah.
Like none of us knew except for Jen that he had it on him, because most of the time he'll like, keep it in the truck locked up or whatever. But he had it on him. And the second he said that, and we were like, what?
Jen turned to me and was like, hang on, guys, like pull him out. He's got it on him. And so immediately I'm like, all right, this is how I go down.
And I was on like one side of the room. And when he looked over at me, he looked at my direction and froze. And I was just like, I felt so uncomfortable. Like I was just like, I moved over behind like Sam and Jen. And I was like, it was too freaky. I know.
Even though he had the blindfold on, like you couldn't see Tommy's eyes, but you could feel whatever was in his body. Like you could just feel it staring through you. And to the point where I couldn't look at Tommy's face because I felt like I was making eye contact with whatever that thing was. So, it was very scary. It was very scary.
Was the feeling it was demonic, or is this the feeling of just an angry old guy
angry old man? I think it was the man at the house.
I think he was connecting a little bit more to like somebody during the Civil War. Because I think like what we ended up reviewing evidence later, and it was really interesting, the series of like words, because I wrote them all down as he was saying them. As they're coming across, of course, whatever he's hearing, right, he's supposed to repeat. But they really wasn't answering questions per se. There was a little bit there. But in the very beginning, when Alicia was talking to him, in the very beginning, he was telling her to be quiet. And it got weird fast. Like Sam said, it was just like he was immediately back in it. And so we were like, I don't know if we ever want to have him do that again, because it felt like, he's just one of those people, which it's a gift in itself that you could be that open that quick. But in that kind of situation of an Estes method, it's not necessarily good to be that open because, you need to protect yourself. So, and, of course, for Jen, that it's a whole nother level being his wife and, him being her rock and vice versa. So it's kind of like, we get it. We're like, we're like hesitant. But,
most certainly. So
that was probably the ugly, if we were to say.
How many spirits were in this house? Do you guys have
I think primarily, like Sam said, I think the family was there because that's what we got a lot on evidence review. It came through. And actually, Sam and I were both hearing the spirits that night, like audibly hearing. And in fact, they're on the EVP as we heard them. You can hear the voice, this disembodied voice on the EVP. And then afterwards, Sam and I are like, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah. It said, We're like, it said, whatever responded like to the questions and stuff. So it was intelligent, but it said it was the family that the actual foundation people told us about that were known to be there kind of the longest. So they were definitely seemed like they were the most prevalent, I would say, in that house. But I think because it had something to do with the Civil War, I think there's other transient maybe spirits that may linger there. Yeah. They're also next to a graveyard.
Of course.
Yeah. So all the energy. At one point we saw like in the room that was supposed to be the hospital room, like where they were doing the procedures. On the SLS cam, we saw like a body like laying, like, the stick figure for SLS. We saw someone laying on the ground and almost like someone was beside it. It's like sitting, like crouching beside it. So that was really cool. So, as far as how many spirits, I don't know. There's several depending on like what era they came from and what situation, it was very active.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this place was, you said, being renovated. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think under restoration, I guess, is a better word for
Okay.
it. They're trying to maintain it as, hopefully, I think down the road, maybe a museum kind of location.
Okay. Okay.
The floors and stuff, everything, it's definitely original. I mean, a lot of period pieces they have in there that was furniture. There was very little, it definitely was an interesting location. They have a big sign out front that tells like more about the property, and yeah, so it's cool.
Was there any part of the place that was more, I don't want to say dominant in activity than other places? It sounds like the attic
Like
or
upstairs.
And I think sort of that back room. Yeah, either the back room or upstairs.
For me, I felt the most energy upstairs, but I think I tend to connect a lot with kids, and we learned that there was a disappointments room upstairs, and so I think that's why I felt the most energy up there. But I mean, the back room, like what Rachel was saying, it was super active. We got a ton of responses back there too. So
yeah, that's where we heard a lot of the disembodied voices coming through.
mm-hmm.
And the voices, were they mean or were they just like hello or I mean
Curious.
cordial, I guess?
Yeah.
Curious?
Yeah. Yeah. I think they definitely wanted, I think the family wanted to interact with us. It seemed primarily like the husband was there of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you feel anything, I don't know, other than the get my gun and all they give me a cigar or whatever, give my drink,
He wanted
whiskey.
his whiskey and his pistol.
Yeah,
Right.
that is a bad combination, people.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah. We were like,
bad combination.
no, we are not
Drinking and
doing either.
shooting, yes. Did you sense it was evil or did you sense it was like authoritarian, like these
Yeah.
are place?
I would say upstairs, it definitely sounded authoritarian. Like, I'm the man of the house, I'm the man who resides here. And like, give me my dinner, give me my drink, give me my pistol. It was nothing but like commands all the way through. And we're like, no, none of that. This is not the 1800s anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I tend to hear that a lot from, and again, I always say this to my female paranormal investigators. You are the bravest ladies in the world because you kind of take the brunt. Hair pulling, scratching, being caught a bit, maybe pushed. I mean, every time I talk to paranormal investigators or females, that's what they say. And I'm like, why are you doing this?
And we get called like almost every single location we ever get to is like, at least on Spirit Box, it says like, for the spirit apps, they say, it says witch there. And we're like,
Witch, sure.
Yes.
Yep.
thank you.
Witch or witchcraft.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's unbelievable. Again, I can't say enough for you ladies to do that because I'd be out. But that's just me. Well, here's the thing too. Did you ever feel, because there is a theory out there, I don't know if you've heard about it, called stone tape theory, where energy is
As a matter of
absorbed.
fact,
There you go.
Rachel's
Into
an expert.
objects. Hey,
I just
love
was
it.
speaking on it yesterday about that. That's what I talk about when I go to the different paracons and speak. So I did a whole talk on on stone tape theory, place memory, and stigma theories.
I love that. And I've talked about stone tape theory on the podcast quite a bit. Why do you think certain objects absorb more energy than others? Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe a brush a woman had, maybe a chair, things like that. Is there anything in your talks that kind of led you to like this is why, right?
Well,
I don't
I
know what
think
that would be.
more of what we find, sorry to interrupt. I think more of what we find is that a lot of the buildings, they have a component of limestone, granite, quartz, and out here, kind of in the south, there's a lot of limestone around that's pretty like prevalent in locations. So that in combination with like water or proximity to water seems to be like what either maybe traps or hold the energy or amplifies the energy. But I think that that's what we're seeing a lot of, because when we do a little bit of research, we're finding out that these buildings, either their foundations are limestone or there's a lot of quartz nearby. It has a lot to do with that, I think. And I
Yeah.
don't think that it explains like one part of it. I mean, all of it. I think it just explains one part of it, because I think you can have the residual haunt, right, which is stone tape theory, but you also have the intelligent, because you get responses to your questions, and that's not something that's going to be residual. Like if you're just hearing footsteps in a location, or maybe doors slamming, or even just the appearance of something that goes by every single night at midnight or
Right.
something, that seems to walk down the stairs or something like that tons of people report, that seems like it's more residual. But when you have this direct interaction back and forth, then they're like, okay, there's something else here.
Exactly. And you're right about the building, especially buildings that have had a lot of suffering,
Mhm.
like, at a
That would be like
sanitarium.
more stigma, yeah, theory. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's more
where
traumatic events that
yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Why do you I'm always fascinated with the children. Like, do you think children mainly stay because they don't know any better to cross over, or do you just think it's something else that a lot of children tend to stay in a house for whatever reason?
I don't know if there's one answer to that either. I think there could be the myriad of reasons, but I think, in my personal opinion, MIO, I think that spirits have free will and they can come and go as they please. And maybe they choose to stay because they're familiar with a location. Something is tying them there. Like they have good memories there. They're comfortable there. Maybe they're, as Kate and I often talk about, maybe how we just say that they're the dead ones and not us.
Right.
I mean, that's a whole nother ball of wax, but it's kind of like
Yeah.
that movie. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, but we often talk about it. We're like, oh, it's the others. It's the others.
Right.
Like, where she doesn't know she's dead. Like, she thinks they're the ones that are living are the ones who,
Mhm.
yeah, you've seen it. So the ones that are living are the ones haunting, and it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah, right. Is any one of you, sensitive, like you said, I think Sam, you said you're sensitive to children. Do you feel like sometimes they might see you as a motherly figure? Because here these children are, right? And they're all alone and they're scared. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
And there's you. "Hey, she looks nice. Hey." You
Yeah,
ever feel that way?
very much
definitely.
so. We've seen it at
Yeah, actually,
Rosemont, I think, with the kids downstairs where the
yeah.
dowsing rods are like hugging you.
Yeah, I like to use my dowsing rods on most of it investigation. Anytime that I'm down in the basement at Rosemont or in the children's room, my rods will completely open and hug me. And then, you'll feel them like playing with your hair. It's almost like they're like, playing with hair, like braiding it, or I'll feel like little hands, like you'll feel 'em. But yeah, I think that they just it's a safe kind of place. Like I know, you know, they're probably just looking for comfort or like just something familiar or hey, you're new, like let's hang out, so
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
really
for
interesting.
as far as like Sam is I think he's very open and nurturing. And I think that that is attractive to younger children too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now on the flip side, there have been demons disguise themselves as little children. Have you ever came across something like that where maybe you've been with a child and then been like, "Well, this doesn't seem like a child. This seems something else."
not necessarily a child, but
Okay.
When we were all at not Rosemont, Trousdale, Rachel and I were both doing human pendulum for the first time, and I think that's the last time I will do that. But
What is
so human pendulum, if you think of like a regular pendulum, whenever you're holding one, and you can ask it different questions, and whichever way it swings, if it's left and right or like
Usually
up and
yes,
down,
no,
it's
right?
yes, or yeah, or like if it circles, however you want to do it. That's, the idea. So human pendulum is when you are acting as the pendulum, and you'll have four people, north, south, east, west. Anyway, and you'll ask a question and you'll find what your yes is and what your no is. So my yes was to be moved forward, my no is to be moved back. And you will feel the energy like push you, like push and pull. It's really cool. So
It's very
they were
trippy.
asking, it is, because you have to zone out and just let them kind of do the whole thing. And you're just being pushed and pulled by this energy. It's a really neat feeling, but again, I don't think I'm going to do this again because Rachel and I are both pretty open and pretty sensitive to energies. And that also means that we can kind of be a doorway for them as well. And at first, the entity that came through was presenting as a woman of the house who needed help. And, we were asking her questions, and, then it turned very quickly. I felt a shift and I said, guys, this isn't who we think that we're talking to. And it ended up being a male entity who had a pretty rough history and was not a good person. That person ended up attaching itself to me and followed me home, but it affected all of us. I mean, Rachel got sick. One of our other ladies that was with us, who's from a different investigation team, she got sick. We all had to go outside and ground ourselves. Like it was a mess. But yes, as far as masking of like trying to present as a good or innocent kind of, yes. And then it quickly turned to not so much. So
Yeah, because then I did it right after her, and it kind of did the same thing where it kind of was like, oh no, I'm not this. I'm not that, I'm this, and it was like, wait a minute here,
right.
It, yeah, we quickly ended that too. We ended the session with me because it seemed like it was the same spirit wanting to. And I think before we even started, I was getting, which was interesting because later on review was there.
yes.
I kept saying that I kept feeling like what it felt like was spider webs all over my face. And I was like, come on. I was like, what is this? I was like, stop. And you could hear after on review, as I was saying, like the spider web stuff, there was like, you could hear on EVP, there was like a growl and a male
Ooh.
voice, and I think that was the one who was definitely there. I think from the beginning was like, and even like right before we started, I think before Sam started, it said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, but it said something like, oh, good, another one, like,
I do remember that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I was like, afterwards when we were listening to it, I was like, oh, I got the chills. Like that. And when we heard back, because Sam did Estes after that. And when we heard like this spirit that was coming through EVP and along, like in conjunction with what Sam was repeating back, we were like, oh, we should have pulled her out earlier because this spirit was definitely saying it was trying to attach to her at that point in time. So we're like,
Yeah, wow. That sometimes it's a hard lesson to learn, right? And you just don't know what's they're capable of. How do I say this? Have you ever had, because I've heard this before, where someone's being a little bit, I don't know, vulnerable in the group, maybe they're going through something, and a ghost or spirit, entity, whatever you want to say, has latched onto that person to make their life or day work.
Yeah, I think
And what
both.
happened?
Leaving Trousdale, I had that. I was so sick the next day. I called out of work. Yeah, yeah, I couldn't leave the house. It was, oh yeah, oh yeah. So when I left, I had my thank you. I had my GPS on, and it kept. I moved to Gallatin. That was the first city that I lived in Tennessee when I moved back here, and so I'm very familiar with Gallatin. And my GPS kept rerouting me, and so I was like, well, maybe there's something going on. and it kept taking me back to the house twice. And so I think what happened was he got off or out. I don't know. Like there was nothing, he wasn't attached to me whenever I left, but because I was back onto the property, I think that's when he attached to me. But yeah, I was very sick the next day. I called out of work, and then thankfully I had already made an appointment with an energy healer, and I'd never met her. She didn't know what I do. I didn't tell her anything. And she was like, "What is this?" And she said, "This is nefarious. Let's get this off of you." And immediately, like that day, I felt so much better. So keep your energy healers close.
Yeah, keep them.
Never know when you need them on speed dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were saying the same thing.
Woo! Did you feel it? Did you feel like, man, nauseous, just weak,
Yeah, I didn't realize, because that was obviously like, that was the first time that had ever happened to me. So I didn't know it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got an attachment. But I definitely felt weak, nauseous, just shaky, gross. I felt like I had the flu, it just very tired, didn't have any energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I went to the energy healer, because that was an appointment that I already had scheduled. So it just worked out. As soon as she pulled him off of me, it was, night and day. I felt so much better.
Yeah, and that is really I've seen that happen to individuals, and I've seen that happen to groups, which is always interesting to me how that can do that. And again, why do spirits do that? I don't know. Wouldn't that take a tremendous amount of energy though to do that? Right?
I would think.
Am I
They've
right
been
on that?
practicing long enough. Depends on how strong they are,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That just blows me away, and it brings something home with you where it's personal, right? Because it's your house, it's your apartment, whatever you want to say. It's your place. It's your solitude, and to have this thing is just unbelievable. Wow, that's
Exactly.
crazy. Thank you for the nightmare on that one, Sam. I appreciate.
You're welcome.
We're
Oh,
happy
you're not
to
supposed to say
oblige.
you're welcome. Bye. I know where this is going. Anyway, so let's talk about the that was the is that the most ugly, or is there something worse do you guys have? Because that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, I think that was probably
Okay.
ugly and bad.
Ugly and bad.
Probably.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, how about let's go to the good? And when I mean good, it can be like, oh, it was just everything worked out great. Or maybe it was funny, or just something that's extremely a memorable experience. Not to say that wasn't, because it was, but what location had you been at that
I would
maybe?
say let's let Kate
All right,
tell us
Kate.
about
Yeah, let's
something
get
good.
Kate.
I would say also Trousdale. Okay, hear me out. Because it's the end of the night and we've been through the investigation and we're sitting around the table and we're just shooting the breeze and eating snacks, right? And this is the first one I was on with you guys, right? This is the first, I wasn't even part of the team. This was the first time I was with you guys outside of Rosemont.
Right.
And we all heard something whistle and it was just incredible. And we're like, was that you? That you? You whistled, right? And everybody's like, no, blaming everybody else. And it was on tape and we all heard it and it was incredible.
Yeah, that was.
And it was one of the, and we learned after that a lot of times we're getting interaction when we're just sitting around chatting, laughing, having a good time together. We think we're on break from investigating, but it's like we're just hanging around, sitting around a table in the area that maybe we have staged as where our equipment's kept. And as we're investigating, kind of can go back and forth from there. Yeah, now it's like something that we like to incorporate in while we're investigating. It's just to, sit down, chat, have a good time talking to one another and have some equipment going at the same time because they're interacting with us even if we don't think they are. They are.
Yeah, and I think that's a matter of FOMO, if you want to say, fear of missing out, because there are people ones, right? Just like all of us on this podcast. And if someone's talking and having a good time, you want to be part of it, right?
Absolutely.
So you interact, and I've heard that a million times before, where people have just been goofy. It's like 3:00 in the morning, everybody's getting goofy, silly. You're tired, and you're just like,
Hilarious.
oh, you're laughing, and then you hear people laughing with you, and you're like, "What is that?" That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, because in conjunction with that too, with, like, the whistle, there was, like we were getting a lot of, like, tripwire that was going off on the table like we hadn't seen before, and I
Okay.
think, like, the Paralight too was going off, and we were getting stuff on the Spirit apps that we just kept running while we were doing this, so and we all thought it was my husband who we're like, "Was it him?" He's like, "It wasn't me." And then we're like, "It was you?" And then I was like, "No." It was like nobody. It was very weird. Yeah,
Wow.
but cool.
Yeah, and it seemed like fun more than, like, someone's trying to, I don't know, hurt you
No,
or
it seemed
whatever.
like they were trying to get for them to, like, get our attention. It's like whistling, like, "Hey, I'm here." I'm like,
Here,
"What are you
Nice.
guys doing?"
Nice.
So,
Now, you talked about Rosemont too. What was that? What was that location? What'd you guys do there?
let's like Kate.
Alright, Kate?
Well, so it was it is a historic home that was built in the 1830s. It was a thoroughbred racehorse farm, and it's a museum today. But it seems like the family just never left.
And never left. Do you, feel that they're still obviously dominant there? Or is it more of, again like, what did you experience there? Anything that, bad? Or was it just more like, this is our house, and if you guys are gonna be here, you guys gotta be nice" kinda attitude?
Generally, when it's the family, it's just really calm and it's just normal. It's normal stuff like cigarette smoke you smell sometimes because there were smokers in the family, or uh, footsteps, or I don't know. The lights. Yes, they love the candles. They love the lights. They love when we do lots of fundraisers and events. And when we're having them, you can tell that they're just so excited to have guests because different things will happen in the house.
Nice. And, that's always interesting to me because with families in a house, you think about it, if we ever haunt our own homes or whatever, and someone's moving in and they're messing with stuff, like renovation, it's kinda like, "What are you doing? I like the couch there. It's been there for 30 years. What are you doing?" And stuff like not saying you guys didn't move anything or anything like that, but I always think that's really fascinating too. Do you ever feel like, again, was there any other communication that they were just trying to show that, "Hey, this is our place, and, like, this is where we live, and just respect it again"? Because 'cause I'm always interested about that.
I think with Rosemont, we have the benefit that the curator for the museum is a family member. So the
Got
family is still involved. So it was 6 generations of the same family that lived in the house.
No.
So I think because he's still involved there, I think they know that we're doing things
Okay.
for the benefit of the house and the benefit of the family. So I don't really get any pushback. The one thing that happened maybe is I walked through the house with a medium a couple years into working there, and she said that Anne, who is one of the family members, was mad because there was a chamber pot under a bed in a room that shouldn't even have a bed in it. And so that was kind of funny because, like, how would this girl know that there was a chamber pot under the bed? But she totally did. So she must have been legit, right? But I was like, well, I can't move the bed, but the chamber pot I can easily take out of here. So whenever anybody says anything like that, like the mirror's pointing at the ceiling and they don't like that, I just fix it. Like, it takes 2 seconds
Sure.
to make them comfortable in their home.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Right. And I think that's a huge thing because I think that Kate really understands the family and respects the family, current members and previous members of the family. And I think that goes a long way. And that's a lot of what we believe when we investigate anyway. Whenever we walk into a location, it's always our philosophy that we're going to treat whatever we're communicating with respect and positivity, hopes that we get that back.
Yeah.
So we always are mindful that, hey, these potentially were once human, and we would want to be treated that way. So that's what we're going to do. And most of the time, I would say 9.5 out of 10 times, we get like a positive reaction.
Yeah.
An interaction from the spirits wherever we go.
Yeah. I love that. Here's a goofy question I have to ask. I always ask this when it's like a family involved and paranormal investigators who are female going in there. Do you think the wife ever gets jealous? Like maybe the husband sees you guys walking and go, "Hey, what's up, girls?" And the wife is like, "Hey, what the hell? What are you doing?" Nothing. I don't know. It's a goofy question.
It's an interesting question.
You've
I mean, I
never
can't
had
even
like
begin to answer that.
you never had the wife like push you. You're like, "Hey, Mary, take it easy." Like, geez, jealous much? Like, come on, what's going on? Okay. That's funny because I had, one of my, episodes, one of the female investigators said that the husband was, like, hitting on her. Like, she was a medium, and she could see the husband, like, unfortunately, some dudes think it's sexy to unbutton their shirt and, like, lean against the, like, "Hey, girl, what's up?" kinda attitude. And she was seeing that, and she was like, "No, go away. Like, your wife's there. What are you doing?" Yeah, I never had anything like that. I thought that was funny.
Creepers.
I
I
think
just that was
the
really
only
funny.
thing
I've never heard
close
that.
sorry. I was gonna
No, go
say,
ahead.
I think the closest thing that we've got to that is when Rachel went to was it Brushy
Oh, good
in the
God.
hole?
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
Oh, great. So, yeah, we went to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. So,
Mhm.
it's notorious for
Right.
being haunted. Yeah, a lot of things, obviously, bad happened there in that location to many people, whether they deserved it or not. It definitely has an energy about it, but they have one particular location that's called the Hole. And it literally is this like separate building away from the main prison block. And it has an upstairs and a downstairs. And you go down these stairs and you're down in kind of a basement area. And in the back corner, they have was it 3 or 4 cells? I can never remember if it's 3 or 4.
Like 4.
Yeah. So 4 cells in there. It is dark. It is like, use the word, sorry, moist. It's like, it's nasty. You wouldn't wanna be
Yeah.
you don't, like, wanna be in there now. Imagine, like, having to
Ugh.
do like, being locked in there for 23 hours of the day, maybe
Yeah.
even more, and they did some torturous things, like hung them by, their fingernails
Ugh.
and yeah, whole bunch of nasty stuff. So, I was in there with I went with Jen and then several different members from different teams. We all kind of bought in to go there because it's a pricey location to investigate. And so we were there. We went it was the very first time the whole Jen wouldn't go anywhere near the cells. She was like, "I'm good. I'm going to stay in this area where there's like where the guard stand used to be." So she was the closest one to me. I was with the other investigators. There was one in each cell, and then there was a guy who was kind of like outside the cells who was filming them. So he had a camera and he was kind of filming them, asking questions and seeing what kind of communication that he got back. And I was standing behind him. So there was nobody behind me. And Jen was the closest person, which she was over by the guard stand. I'm just listening to what's happening and watching and seeing the communication that's happening. And all of a sudden, I just feel what feels like a hand grabbing my butt. And I was like, and I immediately just went, like Jen said, all she saw was red hair going by her. And she kept saying, "Nope, nope, 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 nope. I did not give you permission to do that. Nope." And so Jen was like, "Wait a minute. What happened?" And I was like, I got touched on the butt. She's like, "So you got touched on the butt in the hole?" And I was like, "Jen." And she was like, "But not the butt." Yeah. So I was like, I'll leave it to Jen.
Way to go, Jen. Way to go.
I know, but it's definitely an experience I will never forget because of all
Right.
places, I think a prison is gonna be somewhere where they were like, "Okay, women are here, we're men, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and grab where I can."
Yes, it's open season, unfortunately, on you ladies, which
Yeah,
is terrible, but unfortunately should be expected, right? You're in a place where
yeah,
it's a
and then
bunch
with
of
Sam and
men.
I went
Yeah.
back again this year, and we had some interesting experiences even in that building upstairs, which I guess they had
Okay.
laundry up there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was not comfortable in that space at all. It
So,
felt like
can you
something
talk
was in
about a
the
couple of these
corner.
experiences? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, in that laundry area, it sort of felt like there was like this spirit that was in like the back corner of the building. And for me, it definitely was a feeling of like being watched, definitely what I felt like at times, like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. It was really heavy. And I felt that sort of immediately when we walked into the space. And I was like, oh no, I was like, I'm not going to be able to take it here. And then I think both she and Sam and I were hearing like talking, like conversation. And I was like, are you hearing that? And she's like, yes. I think multiple locations that night at Brushy, we kept hearing, talking, all kinds of talking. Like, oh, it was crazy. But yeah, I didn't feel comfortable at all. In one spot, I just couldn't, just couldn't catch my breath anymore. And I was like, I have to get out of this space. I have to get out of this space. And so, and I got upset because my husband was with us and like I left the space and he stayed behind. And I was so mad at him. I was telling you, I was not okay in this space. Like, I needed to get out. I was like, you should have been more concerned about how I was feeling, of course.
Right.
Whatever. He's like, I'm sorry. I just didn't know. I was like, I was telling you
Ah,
I was not okay.
yeah.
But as soon as I got out of that space and into like the courtyard area, I felt much better, much lighter. But I also had Alicia was there with us and I was just like, she was like, are you okay? And I was just like, I couldn't catch my breath. And she was like, let me just, help get, just clear you a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Needed energy healer on that one. That's for sure.
oh God, yeah. Yeah. She was very helpful because we had, yeah. And we had another girl who's actually on Alicia's team now, but we were in one of the cell blocks. I think it was either C or D. And as we were leaving that, I saw her just standing in the hallway. Everybody walked by and I looked at her and I was like, Sheila, are you okay? Because she was just standing there and she had this look on her face. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Sheila. She wasn't responding to me. She was just it wasn't like she was there. And and it didn't even look like her. And I was like, Alicia, I was like, get back here. I was like, Sheila's not okay. And she comes back and right away she noticed it too. And so then she had her friend Beverly and they worked together to try and get this thing off of Sheila. But she had no idea. It was like Sheila was gone. She didn't know what happened. She didn't know anything. She didn't experience what we experienced of her. She just didn't even, she was there 1 minute, gone the next. And when she was back, she was kind of what happened?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we figured out too why that happened. So was it the auditorium that the dark entity, I think it's the auditorium at Brushy. That's where it's this dark entity stays. And I was very nervous to go in there and I kept telling them I don't feel comfortable going. The Trousdale thing had just happened a month or two before that. I was like, I don't feel comfortable going just because I know how sensitive I am. You guys go, it'll be fine. And as we were getting to the top of the stairs, the next floor was where you would go into the auditorium. So I was like, y'all go, I'll stay. And then I think we all ended up saying, let's just not, because we wanted to stay together. And as soon as we decided that, we had, we turned around to go back down. And that's when Rachel saw Sheila's face. So we don't know if it was the dark entity that was mad or if it was something else. But that was our theory, that it got upset. So it wanted to, do something.
And we know that at the time, you had asked if somebody was having maybe something personal that was going on. And I think at that point in time, maybe Sheila was having some personal things in her life going on that made her a little more vulnerable. And I think that's why something like that happened to her.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. But you have we're learning. We're learning.
Yeah.
You have to be just you have to be rock solid. Like, I would not recommend anyone go on an investigation if there's something that you don't have resolved in your life. If you're dealing with a personal issue that that doesn't have your true focus on the being present in the moment at that location, then it's probably not a good idea for you to investigate at that time.
Yeah. If you're having a shitty
Especially
day.
like a place like Brushy or something more notoriously known for being darker energy or a lot of different energy, maybe we'll say there.
Yeah. If you're having a shitty day, maybe it's best just to tell your team, I'm having a shitty day. Let's reschedule, or you guys go and I'll catch up later. Right.
Right.
Maybe that's
I know it's hard because a lot of us, end up paying to go investigate locations. So it's hard to say, and you'd forgo your, money to back out. But it's like you'd rather forego that money than end up having an experience like that,
Absolutely.
or worse.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
We are fortunate to be surrounded by, people who have, gifts, even probably more than us, and I don't understand there's different degrees of gifts, and certain people might be at other levels than others. So, we're just fortunate to have so many people that we know that we can connect with in that way, and that we'll go on and investigate with from time to time. So,
sure. Let me ask you this. Have you ever investigated a place where you felt there was unfinished business or a spirit seeking help?
Yeah, I would say at Waverly Hills.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that place is, notorious for what happened there. I mean, from being a sanatorium where they had a lot of tuberculosis patients, a lot of questionable medical procedures were done on them at that, during that time when they were trying to figure out, what is tuberculosis? How do we cure it? So many of them ended up perishing, not even just from the tuberculosis, but from the procedures that were done. They did thoroplasty. They went in there and literally opened their chest cavity thinking, somehow that was going to relieve the tuberculosis, but they didn't know. But I think that we got a lot of, when we were there, responses that were requesting specifically help. And kind of we're like, how can we help? What do you need? And a lot of times you don't really get clear answers as to what they're looking for.
Sure.
And whether that's residual, it could be, because if they were seeking help back then, because they were going through this medical crisis, who's to say is not, what we're picking up on is not something residual in the place. But, it does feel like that. And then there is a known suicide that happened in that building of a nurse who supposedly hung herself. Up on the 5th floor. Supposedly she got impregnated. The story is she got impregnated by either a doctor or somebody else that worked there. And, they were telling her that she couldn't have the baby. And so, she decided to take her own life. In that area, the interesting thing happened to me, which I've never, ever had experience before, but I don't know if I was it was at the very end of the night. It was probably approaching 3 a.m. at that point. And I was in that room, and I'm never like this, even on investigations that I've been that late. But I started where I couldn't even keep my eyes open. I was just dozing off, just sitting there. And, my husband was saying, he was like, what's going on? Why, what's up? And I was and I couldn't. And afterwards, review of it, there was, trying to think of what it exactly said, but it was very interesting. They were saying something about, it was a full sentence when I was saying that I was drowsy and that, something, I wasn't sure if something was on me or around me or whatever, but I was saying things like that. And it said something about how it said something like, I am the medical help, or I am the medical relief something to that effect. Like this, whatever this spirit was saying that they were, I don't know if they were saying they were a nurse or they were a doctor, they were something, but there was a full sentence that was clear as day saying something to the effect of, I am the medical relief. I think it was, because it wasn't specifically help, but it was a weird term that I wouldn't use nowadays, saying like, I'm the medical assistance you need, right? It was kind of like, I am the medical relief. And I was like, wow, that's crazy to have but it happened at the same time that I was like dozing off and stuff. So I don't know. It's a strange location, but I definitely want to go back because there were so many different levels to that place, not only in level and height, but I think like each different level of the hospital of that location had like a whole nother feel to it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
And then in the body chute was just kind of crazy. That's where, they ushered out a bunch of bodies so that the people that were there, the patients that were there, wouldn't see like the amount of people that were dying, because they know that wouldn't be good for morale, keeping their spirits up per se. But, and then also what was there after tuberculosis was that it was a geriatric home and the patients there were not treated very well either. So there's all of these different layers and levels to that place. So I want to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of things you could do at that place. It's unbelievable. And, it's just an amazing place. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's one asylum that got turned into apartments. That's not Waverly Hills, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Now I'm thinking of something else. Which is weird, right? They turned them into apartments. There's one, and it's a famous asylum, and it got turned into apartments. And
is it in the Northeast? Because
I think it's in the Northeast.
Yeah, because I think I remember somebody telling me a story about an asylum that had been turned into apartments. That that they used to be able to investigate, that they couldn't investigate any longer.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't
bizarre.
like Eloise or it wasn't even Indiana State or Trans-Allegheny. All those places you can still investigate.
Yeah, right.
But I know there's one that was. But I think somebody said there's still activity that happens in the apartments.
Of course. That'd be crazy.
Just because the building's not the building that's the whole, stone tape theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
The building's gone. There's a new building there, but the activity's still there. Why?
Yeah.
Right? It's tied to the land. It's tied to the land.
Yeah. I love that. That's just so interesting to me. Like apartments. Hey, oh, by the way, thousands of people died here and there's a bunch of spirits, but you're good with that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's kind of like that. We were talking about that last night where Native American burials and that they'll just put a cement slab and put a Walmart there. You know, that's what we were talking about yesterday there in Kentucky in Mayfield. I guess they did that. There was in the Mayfield graves area, I guess they said there was a whole Indian burial ground and everything. And they said, oh yeah, we moved the bodies. And then I come to find out, no, they didn't move the bodies. They just put cement there and they built the Walmart on top of it.
Oh my God.
So
yeah. There's an island in upper Michigan called Mackinac Island. It is built on an American burial ground. Literally.
Yeah.
There are
they have a lot of activity
everywhere.
there. Yeah.
There's a ton of it. I did an episode on it. It's a ton. And it's like you go there, it's like set back in the 1800s. Like they didn't really change anything since they built it there. It's this huge place. Presidents have been there, stayed there. It's royalty. It's crazy. So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, thank you, ladies. This has been amazing. Thank you for the nightmares. That's okay. Before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you a couple questions to see how well you know each other. How's that sound?
Scary.
Okay. Let's start with number one. Which of you would be most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, good God. Kate.
Probably Jen. Or Kate.
You think Jen? I think
Jen or Kate.
She's resourceful.
You are really resourceful.
Good for you.
Well, that's what I was thinking for Jen, too. It's like they're both really resourceful.
So you guys would just be zombies like in the first 5 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Only if you actually become zombies.
That's true.
You may be zombie food.
We would be food.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
you would think I watched The Walking Dead. I should know, but
yeah, right.
I'm definitely a Walking Dead fan. I should know all the ways. It's not going to be good for me.
All right. Next question. If you saw a full body apparition, who would be the first to try to communicate with it?
Sam.
I think it's between me and Rachel. Yeah. I'd be like, hello.
Hello.
I see you.
Not me.
And why do you say that? Just because you just would be interested or?
Yeah. I think Rachel and I are both like, because we're both so sensitive, I don't think anything really phases us anymore as far as like surprise, unless it's like a loud noise or like a touch. But yeah, at that point, I would just be like, hello, what do you want?
And I would be like, hey, cool.
Love it.
Well, you're here.
Yeah, you're here. Where are you from?
And then last question. Who is more likely out of all of you to pull a prank during an investigation?
God, Jen.
Wow.
Yeah, Jen.
Oh my God.
Cracking them up.
She does it all the time at work. She loves pranking because I work with Jen at our Monday through Friday job in a dental office. And she's got like these, she bought them off Amazon, but she has like these little ones and then a giant one that looks like a cockroach. They're rubber and whatever. And she will put them in like the hygienists. She'll put them in like their drawers or in their cabinets. She's put them in their purses before. She'll even try it with the doctor. Like we have a new doctor and stuff. So she's put it like, she taped one like to his coffee cup. And then, so she would 100%, she would be like, no question. She'd try and pull it on somebody.
I'm guessing I have to ask this question then. I'm guessing it's Jen again. Which one of you is the party animal?
That's interesting. Keith.
Define party.
Keith.
Yeah.
Keith.
Or Kate, because Kate likes to partake in the wine.
It's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Absolutely.
It is.
All right, Jen didn't win that one. I thought she might win that one.
No, because Jen likes to like.
Actually, I have one more question to ask. What is out of all of you, what is your pet peeve on an investigation that one of your partners does? What really bugs you that they do on an investigation? You're like, stop that.
So if it's like any specific person, but I think just talking after we ask a question, like say I ask a question and we're waiting and then someone else asks a question right behind me, I'm like, give them a chance to speak. That's a pet peeve of mine, but I don't know if it's like
I think that's all of us. I would almost say we have honorary members, Justin and Greg, and we love them to death. They like Justin's very sensitive and he loves to story tell. So he'll just keep on talking and we're just like, stop, but let the spirit speak. Let the spirit speak.
Kate, is that true? You agree with the group or is there something else?
No, I agree with the group. I totally do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that must be really hard. Like you hear something and then, hey guys, you know what I like?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, please stop.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for doing this again. I could talk to you guys for hours. I love talking to you. And we might have to do a part 2, 3 or something here because there's so many things I didn't get to. But before I let you guys go, what's coming up? What can my spooky friends look forward to?
Take it away, Kate.
Okay, well,
we're doing a
Sinister Sisters has a bunch. Yeah, we just looked at the calendar.
We were like, wait a second.
It's October 18th at Rosemont. We're doing Death Comes to Rosemont, which is a Victorian morning experience, and Sinister Sisters is helping with that. Then the 24th, the 11th. The 11th is Lynchburg.
And then the 25th is Martin Walton.
Yeah, so 24th, we're doing Trick or Treat at Rosemont with Sinister Sisters. And then Martin Walton House on the 25th.
And then we're also doing Ghost Scouts in between there.
Ghost Scouts on the 10th.
And then the Echoes Tour.
Yeah. Echoes Tour is the
30th.
No, but it's a 4-day event. But it's at Rosemont on the 30th with Sinister Sisters. But it's the 3 days before that at different locations. And then November 1st is Ghost Lore and S'mores at Rosemont.
We're busy.
Ghost Lore and S'mores.
We got a few things.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Yeah, you have a lot going on, and
then I'm this weekend coming up. I'm going to be up at Rock Island Esoteric Expo doing my Stone Tape Theory talk. So
nice. Yeah. Nice. I love it. You guys are busy and you have so many great things. Make sure if you're in their area, because I have a lot of listeners in your area, please go check it out and, tell them, hey, John said hi. And make sure you say hi to everyone. And again, support them when you can, because again, I've been kind of adamant about this lately, is the independent groups are the lifeblood of paranormal investigation. Because they're doing it out of their love and their time for it. And that's very rare nowadays because, again, a lot of different people are doing it, maybe not for the right reasons. Obviously, these ladies are doing it for the right reasons because they love it and they enjoy it and they love sharing this with you. So please go check out. I'll put all the links to their site. So go please support them, connect with them, ask questions. I'm sure you ladies would love to hear anyone, talk about some cool locations to check out or visit, right?
Yes.
I love it. So again, thank you so much. I love you ladies. You're always welcome to come back on. Like I said, we have to do some more parts here because I didn't get half the things I want to get to. But, again, so many scary stories. Thank you for the nightmares. I put me to sleep for a week. But whatever.
Sorry, John.
What's John on social media is not on social media anymore. My God, what do we do to him? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Awesome.
We gave you nightmares.
Thank you again. Thank you again so much. It was a great experience and love to have you ladies back on again to talk about more experiences. So again, thank you.
We would love that.
Awesome.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, love it.
Bye.